AAT Birds Weekly Report is the Eagle news, notes, and analysis you need. It's all birds, all the time.
How about them Eagles?
And how about them Eagles? Super Bowl champions. This is just fantastic. This is something that I've thought about starting this pod, doing this moment, being able to rejoice in them being Super Bowl champions. Again, for the second time in 8 years, which is absolutely fantastic. But for me, it's just this was such a, as you see on the screen, dismantling of the Kansas City Chiefs, of the defending two-time back-to-back champions. The Eagles went up there and belt to ass. And the 40-22 looks a lot closer than what it really was because backups started going in the game, and they absolutely annihilated the Chiefs. And I think that was great to see, especially with the way things ended in 2017 or 2022 in Super Bowl 57. But listen, Jalen Hurts, 2 Super Bowls in 3 years, has played Patrick Mahomes both times and outplayed the so-called best quarterback in the game right now. And, hey, that's why he's Super Bowl MVP, and this team is going to be getting a ring. So, Chip, how was your feeling on everything? I know it wasn't as stressful a game as we thought it was going to be.
No, not we. Not we thought. We thought the anxiety was just building up to it. Johnny, a week ago, what did I predict the final score to be?
You said 38-22.
I sure as hell did. And what did I say, Johnny, about the way that score was going to look?
Come on, you did say it was going to be at the end there. It was going to be a lot closer than
some
whatever
garbage time touchdowns to make it look closer. This Eagles team was better on paper. This Eagles team took all of the negative crap that people were saying over and over again and went, you know what? Fine. How many times did I say this entire season the underdog mentality was back? It had vibes of 2017, right? I'm telling you, I knew what was going to happen on Super Bowl Sunday. And for it to come to fruition, oh man, I'm like Nostradamus up in here, right? The stars, the lights are too bright for me tonight, right? That's why, right?
You can.
Right? The shades are on, baby. The shades are on.
You can keep your Nostradamus because in a couple of weeks here, we're going to start talking about free agency and the draft because we're going to need your Nostradamus on that.
Right? We're going to have a whole mess of problems. But
listen, we have a lot to talk about.
This game was never, ever close.
But
the only time it was close is when they mistakenly decided to call A.J. Brown for a push-off.
Yeah. And listen, I think they got it. They got the penalty back with that.
They locked it up real quick.
My question to you is this, though. I know you predicted the score the way that you predicted the score, and I know you said it was going to be that close. Did you really expect, though, the defensive performance that you saw and everything?
Yes, and let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Our defense was the number, and that was actually the leading point of my prognosis, right? My prediction, because we had the number 1 ranked defense. Okay, no doubt. Their offensive line had been shifted, shimmied, and jostled all around. And to go against our defensive line. Now, I did not expect us not needing to blitz at all, that every sack came from just 4-man pressure. But I expected the turnovers. I expected the sacks. And again, this Chiefs team had scored 30 points one time this season. Just once. Yeah. And it was in the AFC Championship game. This Eagles team has been the best team in football all season. And it was time on a world stage for everybody to see.
So I also did say, we talked a little bit about it. The fact about the 2017 Super Bowl 52 and Super Bowl 59. And what's it going to mean more? And what everything like that. To me, like 2017, it's your first Super Bowl. It means it has its own meaning.
You always remember your first, right, Johnny? I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you always remember your first. So to me, I think,
nasty.
Yes, that was such a great moment, a great everything that went into that, and after everything with that, I understand like what it means to people. Yes, it was spectacular. But this Super Bowl, I think a lot of it had to do with the validation aspect of the Jalen Hurts. People keep doubting. People keep throwing shade. It's just what they do.
I mean, they're still doing it. I
Yeah,
saw
but
a post today that said every 5 years a mediocre quarterback leads a team to a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, welcome to the club. I saw that today.
Yeah. But I think another thing too is like it's validation. It's getting the second ring. It's just like there's a lot of things that culminate in this, and it's the one great thing is seeing franchises or fans of other franchises who have no rings try to talk smack and stuff. And finally, it's been how long? Like this isn't something we're used to be able to say, you have no say, you have no rings, you can be quiet. And it's just like, you take a look at what this franchise has, they've jumped into the elite franchise category. It's of course the Patriots, the Chiefs, and then you're with the Eagles, the Ravens. You're in that class since 2000. I think the Eagles jumped the Ravens just because of having 2 Super Bowls and 3 appearances in the last 8 years. I think trumps basically what they've done, but they're in that talk of an elite franchise. And you take a look at, other teams. Listen, it's a copycat league. What are other teams going to do to try to recreate what the Eagles have done? But I think a lot of it has to do with the way they drafted. And I've made that clear in our early shows when we started this after 2020, after that debacle of a season going into 2021, we talked about Jalen Hurts. And, I'm going to toot my horn because I said I thought I could see him as a top quarterback.
I shit all over him.
Yeah, and so I'm right there. But the other thing I didn't mention that has come true and has come to fruition, because I said it needed to happen if you wanted to do what they have done right now, and that is your older guys that they had at the time there. You needed the next, I think, 2 to 3 drafts, I said, you need to build a foundation. And that's what this team has done. This team has a lot of young talent. They're one of the youngest teams in the league, one of the youngest defenses in the league. They've built the talent to be able to take this Super Bowl. Awesome, great. And then you have guys that are saying on to the next. Work after Friday, the work starts. Everything. Like, they're so determined. They're not satisfied. Like, they're happy and everything of being a Super Bowl champion, no doubt. But they know they have more to prove. They have stuff that they want to accomplish and to be, something that no other team has. They just want to keep winning. They want to keep putting, their stamp on this. And I think that's spectacular. People can complain, they're not loving the Super Bowl. This team is
this was a boring Super Bowl. Who cares? Back in the early 90s, how many times did we see the San Francisco 49ers beat the hell out of the AFC team?
How many times did we see the Patriots go into the Super Bowl? Like, I understand people said
it's talking about it wasn't a competitive game. Okay, it was a domination.
Rams Patriots a couple of years ago, 9-3. Listen, most watched Super Bowl. People were going to boycott it. 127 million viewers, the most watched Super Bowl in history. Listen,
I don't. Here's the thing. Much like the Eagles, I don't care about the outside haters. Right, my hater blockers are on for this show. This Eagles team.
Wait until you do that NFC East show you do next year.
Oh my God, I have already been insufferable in the chat. Let me tell you, insufferable. And there's nothing they can say about it. There is nothing they can say about it, because this Eagles team, again, and the other thing that I like about it is, okay, so, and we'll get into this. We have, other shows and things like that, but Kellen Moore is leaving, right? It was known that Kellen Moore was going to leave at the conclusion of the Super Bowl, even with Nick Sirianni on the victory podium trying to say just one more time, like, hey, let's run this shit back on, national TV, which is great. Yeah. Unlike the Super Bowl 2 years ago, the team did not let it distract them. Jonathan Gannon, when he left, put a crappy defensive product on the field. Kellen Moore was not doing that. Kellen Moore did the job. The other thing, again, just speaking of predictions, 2 years ago, C.J. Gardner-Johnson said, man, if there was real turf, If this was not this watered down grass, it would have been a knockout. Just wait. And sure enough, 2 years later, he retweets his damn self and went, "Told you."
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right when it comes to that.
I know.
And the other thing I look at too with this team, the determination factor, maybe after 20, I think as an organization, after 2017 into 2018 and everything, I think maybe they have learned a little bit on terms of how to take this and to achieve the next one or the goal. Because you look at 2022, they could have folded and they could have struggled after that collapse in 23, and then the come back here and to do what they had set to do. And I think it's absolutely, and especially playing your best football, literally the last 2 weeks of the season against the Commanders.
95 points in the playoffs. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they've set so many different records. Saquon got the rushing record. And he
did not have a great Super Bowl. And the thing is that was most interesting about that was it was clear that the Chiefs went in with one game plan and one game plan only, which was stop Saquon Barkley, which for the most part, they did.
Did a pretty good job.
Let Jalen Hurts beat us throwing. Okay.
He did it. He
Sounds
did it in
good.
the air. And he also broke his Super Bowl rushing record by a quarterback with 72 yards. And
this is what I'm saying. I mean, the other thing that's important to discuss about the 2017-2018 offseason is that there was question marks at the quarterback position. After Nick Foles won that Super Bowl, Carson Wentz sat with his arms folded and pouty and things like that. And it was basically, you have to choose. That's not the case here. This is Jalen Hurts' football team. This is Saquon Barkley's football team. This is A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and C.J. Gardner-Johnson and apparently Zach Bond, because he came out today and said, "I want to be here."
Yeah. How about another thing? So they put the backups in. Kenny Pickett got a pass.
Man.
Let me ask you this question: how much were you hoping when the Chiefs came back on the field that they would put Carson Wentz in?
I actually was speaking it into existence.
I was hoping, and they didn't, of course. But
the Chiefs took their smackdown like men, right? The Eagles did the right thing and eased off when it was over. And the Chiefs, they could have done the thing and basically given up on an international stage. And they went, no, you know what? We're going to take our licks. We're going to take this whooping publicly. Mahomes is going to be out there. Kelsey is going to be out there. Chris Jones, got injured, but he would have been out there. I mean, it was very clear that the game was over. And that was that. But you aren't going to put in Carson Wentz just for the storylines, even though I really wanted to put in Carson Wentz just for the storylines. Yeah,
I thought the same thing, especially with that. But no, I just think, you take a look at this team and, everyone wants to talk about Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore and, some of the additions that they had. But how about some of the other coaches? Bobby King, the linebackers coach. Clint Hurt, the defensive line coach.
Clint Hurt is going to get a job as a defensive coordinator somewhere in the next 3 years.
Yeah. Christian Parker, the DB coach. You had him. It's just they did such a great job hitting home runs.
Special teams was night and day better than last season.
Mm-hmm. And listen, when you look at special teams and you look at the players who played on special teams, Sidney Brown was a menace going down the field. You had Chili Ringo, who was a great gunner, awesome down the field. 2 solo tackles by Kenny Gainwell in the Super Bowl, 2 pretty big tackles there. He played really well on special teams.
And don't forget, whoa, we're missing a big one. We're missing a big special teams play here.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Trotter with the axe on international television, Junior.
So I got to get that clip, because when he does it, I see him, winding up and he goes off screen. And then you hear the roar of the crowd. I said he just did the axe chop, because you knew what he was getting up and getting ready to do. Yeah. And then the roar of the crowd. And again, that crowd was spectacular.
Let's talk about the crowd for a second.
So
you knew right away that was an Eagles crowd. You knew right away that was an Eagles crowd. And for them to boo Taylor Swift, the fake former Eagles fan, for them to boo the AFC champions as they ran out, and for the eruption of the cheering. And every time we scored a touchdown, hearing "Fly, Eagles, fly," not pumped in at the regular volume. This was a team that went ahead and dominated every facet of the game, and our fans did the same.
Yeah, right,
even in the celebration, right? Go ahead, grease those light poles. We're going to take them out of the ground and carry it down the road.
Did you see the picture of Coy Detmer climbing the wooden pole?
I did not, but I'm going to need to. Once he got up there, did he hit the Coy?
He is the originator of the belt to ass.
I am aware.
Just saying. Let me see if I can find it.
Again, while you keep looking, I mean, then you get to the, Dak Prescott. Oh, that should have been us. In what universe, sir? In what universe, sir? Kenny Pickett has played more meaningful snaps than you have in playoffs, sir. Like, the delusion that the rest of the NFC had. Now, again, next season is next season, and the Commanders are going to make some moves, and they're a good team. They overshot their landing a little bit, and we'll talk about this all offseason. But this Eagles team, depending on what happens in free agency and the draft, and bringing back as much of it as we can, depending on who the offensive coordinator is, and again, we'll want to figure that out. We'll make our predictions and things like that. But again, it's just This feels so good. It feels so good.
It does. So listen to this.
Crowd only. Do it. It is so deafening, it muted on your screen.
Second here. So to me, like, that was spectacular. And I realized it when Bradley Cooper was doing the EAGLES, and then the end of that, basically the GLES was being finished by the crowd and how loud it was. You knew right there that it was a takeover. And it's what this Eagles fan base does best.
And it was a long wait. Like, Super Bowl Sunday was very, very long.
Yeah. The 2 weeks leading up to it. It's not even just Super Bowl
Sunday.
Sunday.
Up to it was long. I mean, that is not a game that needs to start at 6:30. It just isn't. Now they're never going to change it because, again, look at the viewership numbers, and it's just people being grumpy. And Super Bowl Monday will never be a holiday, even though it should be. But again, once they kicked off, once the pregame stuff really started, it was over, baby.
What's going to be weird is next year, it's in California. It's in where the 49ers play. So it's going to be basically 3:30. So it'll be during the day. It'll be light, which would be kind of weird to see.
Cool. Do it.
Usually Super Bowls are in a dome, or if it's in outside, it's usually in warmer in the South area. Not the Southwest.
We'll be there. Let's do it.
What? In San? Oh, well, hey, if there's only way to repeat, you have to go back. So you start that after tomorrow.
So all right, let's play this game now, Johnny, because we have to have some conversations here. Okay? And there are things that we floated out. Let's have them. Question number 1. True or false? Nick Sirianni is now the greatest coach in Eagles history.
Yep.
Agreed.
Listen, and I'm going to give you two things.
He won it. He surpassed Andy Reid because he won it.
Yeah. And I'm going to give you this too. I believe the only 3 coaches with a 700 winning percentage and a Super Bowl title is John Madden, Vince Lombardi, and Nick Sirianni. There's only 3 of them.
Damn good crowd.
The other one is in his first 4 seasons, the most wins. He is 3 behind George Seifert, who took over for Bill Walsh. He has 54. George Seifert had 57. So, for me, it's just what he's accomplished. 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. He's been to the playoffs every single year, which no other Eagles head coach can say that to start their career, that they've been to the playoffs every year and they've been to 2 Super Bowls. No one else can say that. So, for me, it's if you want to go back in time and go to the Greasley Earl Neal or whatever, Greasley Neal and all these older, no, I don't really go that far. I'm just going to go with Nick Sirianni definitely right now is the best head coach in Eagles history. Plus, he deserves a contract extension, so that should probably get done soon anyway.
Question number 2. True or false? Jalen Hurts has surpassed Donovan McNabb as the greatest quarterback in Eagles history.
I'm going to say yes. I know a lot of people say the longevity aspect of it because McNabb played for 11 seasons and what he accomplished. I'll give you this.
Never got the job done.
I know. And Nick Foles did.
And Jalen Hurts has already been in extra Super Bowl compared to Donovan McNabb.
The other thing I will say here, when you look at best quarterbacks, people were trying to talk about Randall and Donovan because of the longevity aspect of it. Cool. But you look, Jalen's been there since 2020. So it's not like he's only been there 3 years. He's been in 2 Super Bowls. He's outplayed the best quarterback in the NFL in both Super Bowls. Yep. He has 6 playoff wins. Donovan has 9.
Yep.
So he's already only 3 behind Donovan, and he's played in, I think, 6 less years. 5 or 6 less years than Donovan. And he's got a Super Bowl ring, Super Bowl MVP. He was, a third place MVP a couple of years ago. He's had double-digit touchdown runs in 4 straight seasons.
He broke his own Super Bowl record of rushing yards.
Yep. Broke his own Super Bowl record of rushing yards. He's 1 rushing touchdown behind a Super Bowl record, Emmitt Smith. So there's so many different things that he has done and accomplished already in a short amount of time. To me, and everyone wants to put Nick Foles on that pedestal and say he's the best quarterback because he won a Super Bowl.
Nick Foles wasn't the quarterback of that team. He ended up taking over and doing a job, but he was not the quarterback of that team.
And listen, Nick Foles is remembered forever. We get that. We understand that. We know that. And the thing about it, too, is another thing I was thinking about, too, in regards to me, I was actually thinking about numbers. So with Nick Foles winning a Super Bowl and everything and all that, his number hasn't been worn, all that good stuff. Well, Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl now. So I think Nick Foles' number needs to come out of uncirculation and needs to go back into circulation. Same with Brady McCoy, same with Randall Cunningham. All that needs to come back. I don't care. You can't hold on forever. So that was another little thing that I was thinking. But
no, championship caliber, recognition needs to become a thing in order to finalize the change in your franchise, right? Bragging about being the runner-up anymore is no longer what we do. If you are a champion, you get special accolades.
Yeah. And I think, too, you look at it, too, this way is so the parade's tomorrow. So you get to celebrate that, watch them, the speeches, all that stuff. So you have that. Then in early June, you have the ring ceremony. Hopefully that thing is monstrosity. Like the monstrosity of that, I want it to be so gaudy and so ridiculous. You have that. Then, of course, in between that, you have free agency, draft, all that stuff. Building your team for 2025, everything along the lines of that. But then you have America's Game, which that'll be released before the start of the season, which is something I always like. So there's a lot that leads up to it. And, before you know it, it's going to be the start of 2025. And you have the banner drop, the banner release. It goes quick, but there's a lot of fun stuff on the horizon.
I love the horizon, but we have to do one more.
Go ahead.
We have to do one more, Johnny, and you knew it was coming, and you had time to marinate on it, and you had time to think about it.
Dallas Goedert, our best tight end. No, I'm kidding.
Is the 2024 Eagles defense now the best defense in Philadelphia Eagles history?
So
you had time to think about this before, Johnny. You knew I was going to ask this question.
I know. But the way that I look at it this way is the 91 defense is one of the best all time.
Agreed.
And what they did with what little they had. But
they never won a Super Bowl. So going to your same logic of the jerseys, at what point do we move them down just one echelon? Because this defense did the job. And as you put in the title, dismantled the Chiefs.
Yeah, they did. No, you're absolutely right. They did. It's close.
So if I may, I feel like where you're stuck is in the time will tell ideology, right? because you look at that 91 Eagles defense and you know Reggie White, he's a Hall of Famer. And now Eric Allen, he's a Hall of Famer. And Seth Joyner should be a Hall of Famer. And Jerome Brown should be a Hall of Famer, right? We know
Simmons.
Clyde Simmons should be a Hall of Famer, right? We know these things. And this Eagles team, you have not been able to identify players of that caliber yet because they are a young defense, right? Because Jalen Carter is just starting out. Because I don't know if Darius Slay is a Hall of Fame caliber cornerback, but he does have the title.
The title now.
He's an Eagles Hall of Famer. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is an Eagles Hall of Famer. Zach Bond, dear God, give that man whatever he wants. Quinyon Mitchell is a rookie. Cooper DeJean is a rookie. Brandon Graham should be a Hall of Famer, right? So there are these things where you're looking at the individual. If I'm reading you correctly, you're looking at the individuals that make up the whole, and I am looking at the sum of all parts doing what they did collectively together. So my vote is yes, it is now the best defense in Eagles history. Whereas that 91 team had some of the greatest defensive players in NFL history.
So this is where I'll disagree with you on that. So the 91 defense, I took it looking at it as a whole and who they played and the way they played against them and the situation they were put in. If this Eagles defense replicates what they did next year, then I really don't think there's much of a case. Let's see what they do and everything. Because I understand what they did to the Chiefs and all that, but the Eagles 91 defense.
And to the Commanders and to the Packers and to the Rams and to the Cowboys and to the Giants and to anybody that came in their way.
But again, like I said, I think time will tell too, because you have
and to the Ravens. The Ravens.
I'm just saying you have to let it play out and see, because as I look at the 91 defense, the amount of Hall of Famers they played and the teams they played the eventual Super Bowl champion. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's close. Now, I will say this. The 2024 Eagles are the best Eagles team, collectively team of all time. They supersede the 2017 team, the 2014.
The 2017 team, again, holds a special place in our heart, but
the underdog.
It was a makeup of underdogs stepping up and doing things. Like Oren Burks, for example, had an incredible postseason. He is the true definition of stepping up when you had to.
He may made him so he's a free agent. He may have made himself some money here.
Nice little bit of money, sure.
So, he definitely stepped up. You had guys like that. But the 2017 team, you had so many guys having to step up because Peters went out, Sproles went out, Jordan Hicks went out. You had Sayamalu get hurt. You had a bunch of guys.
Carson Wentz got hurt.
The
team was led by a backup quarterback.
So you had a lot of guys go down with injury. Key guys go down with injuries that you didn't really see. This team had 21 of 22 starters play.
Yeah. Even like you were saying, the 2022 team, this team is far better for the Saquon purposes and Zach Bond purposes.
The defense is much better than 2022. 2022 was, listen, they were good. They had the sack record. They were, very talented along the lines of that. But, this team is just collectively, the way that they play is just so much better. The other thing too, two more things I want to bring up. One, when I saw Avonte Maddox go in the game, I saw him in the game. I said,
and then he made a play, baby. He made a play, and I thought in my mind, Johnny's going to have no leg to stand on, and he's okay with it.
I saw him, and they're like, they're going to go right after him. It's fourth down. They're going to do a little out route. They're going to get the completion. They ran an out route. He went, and he tipped it. And I said, by God, he made the play in the Super Bowl on fourth down. You know what? All props to him. He made
Jim that play. Ross the Super Bowl? By God!
My God, yeah. I probably didn't say it like that. There probably was a curse word in there somewhere. I know that's probably the way I said it, but I think another thing too is these 2018 draft picks. The draft after the Super Bowl. Dallas Goedert, Avonte Maddox, Josh Sweat, Jordan Mailata. These guys are able to, after the Super Bowl, they had to watch the banner unveil. They didn't get a ring, everything. The culmination of them seeing the confetti fall, knowing that they're Super Bowl champs now, I thought that was awesome as well.
Yep. Jalen Hurts' background photo losing that Super Bowl. Right.
And he says he's not going to change it.
And he's not going to change it. It is his motivation, his fuel, his hate fire. And I am here for it. Do they have a GM Hall of Fame wing yet?
Because they do. I believe executives can be in the Hall of Fame. So Howie Roseman is a Hall of Famer.
Because it's going to be the Howie Roseman. He'll find a way to buy it and trade for it for a player to be named later because that's just what he does. It will be the Howie Roseman wing of the Canton Hall of Fame.
And the funny thing is,
because by God, he is just disgusting.
And you also have to say too, we were so wrong in the beginning of this. We started this podcast.
And I am here 2020, for my
2021. We were as wrong as can be about
Chowie Kegsman, man. Chowie Kegsman will live in infamy for how wrong I was.
Yeah, so wrong. And I'm glad that we were wrong. When you look at
hell, let's continue. Landon Dickerson, I was very against that pick because we already had Kelsey.
Hey.
You know what? By God, I was wrong.
Listen, you were against it. I'm the one that was fighting for it, saying that he was a first-round talent that was just injured. And so I will take that. Again, another thing, too. When you look at this team and the way it was built the last couple of years, Saquon Barkley becomes that missing piece. If you really look at an addition that just made this team.
He single-handedly just rescued the running back position in the NFL.
The other thing was, at the time, of course, at the time and then maybe a year or two after, even the Justin Jefferson going to Minnesota Vikings after the Eagles picked Jalen Reagor, I think may have been one of the best things to happen to the franchise, because with that happening, the Eagles then figured out, because they wanted to try to be something else and try to get somebody to emulate a team that they were trying to focus on. Instead, revamp the way they draft, revamp the way they scout, everything along the lines of that. They start going after the Georgia guys. They get Devontae Smith the next year. They trade for A.J. Brown.
They start going for the best player available
and
not trying to outthink themselves.
And look what happened. Look what it all came to. It came to, well, first it came to a Super Bowl appearance, and then now finally getting the Super Bowl victory after this year. They did what they did in 22, adding pieces, everything like that. Then 2024 here, after the collapse and everything, they went and they spent big money on a running back, and they invested in that running game, that offensive line, and it shows you the trenches are where you win football games. Because you have
my favorite meme my favorite image from Super Bowl night is an image of Saquon Barkley, and it says giant risk, giant reward.
There's so many. It's funny because I scroll and I see a new image, a new picture, I save it. It's just like, and I know I'm going to be saving a ton more after tomorrow because there'll be so many different pictures and everything, from the parade. But of course I have to, tomorrow, ESPN magazines, they're releasing a 96-page Super Bowl edition for the Eagles. I'll be getting that. Sports Illustrated cover of Jalen holding the trophy, different things. You have to get it. You have to, because, who knows? But I said it the first time, and 8 years later they got another one. So it's been pretty good. I'm enjoying it. This is awesome. Now, next week we'll start getting into a little bit of the offseason. The Eagles probably
they're going to have an offensive coordinator by then.
I was going to say the offensive coordinator position and/or quarterbacks coach, because I know Nussmeier may leave for, we'll talk more about the Kellen Moore stuff. I don't want to get into that. We'll talk about him leaving. Then if they have a new OC hire, if they don't, we can, conjure up some possibilities and see who we'd like to see there. So some things on the horizon there. So we got a lot going on. The content never stops. That's why we say it's all birds all the time, because that's what it is. The content does not stop. There's so much to talk about. It's already mid-February. You got free agency coming up. You got the combine first, then free agency, then the NFL draft, schedule release. And then in between that, you have all the Eagle events in terms of the ring release, all that stuff. So there's so much going on. And again, we're always here. We'll always break it down. It's what we do. But Super Bowl champs, and it's going to be a hell of a season.
I last until the end of the show.
That's good. But with that, as we always do,
with a supersized, Super Bowl size, a champion sized,
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.